What you see globally is that the number of refugees are increasing. So it's really very important that those issues are addressed with respect to water and sanitation, because it has a big impact on the survival of the people during refugees. So especially the focus was very much for a long time on water only, but now people realize that sanitation has the same importance as water. So therefore the focus is also a lot on wastewater treatment nowadays.
A good example is what we've seen in Haiti. We were pretty much prepared in water supply. We had hundreds of thousands of people within a couple of weeks reached, but there were hardly any toilets. We felt there was really a lack of proper toilets for urban setting such as Port-au-Prince. And I believe right now we do have solutions to address that issue.
So we're developing a tool to capture and analyze data on the costs of providing water in refugee camps, so that you can, therefore, the outputs of this tool would be utilized for planning and developing these services. It's different in that, to my knowledge, it's not being done. So there's not reliable information available on what the actual costs are to provide water in these camps.
You see indeed that for the short-term solutions there is money available, but long-term solutions, I think you really have to incorporate the national authorities and the local authorities to hand over, so to transition indeed from the relief agencies to the sector.
So the long-term costs should be financed by the government, ideally. However, fully recognize that these camps have been in existence and operated by donors, UNHCR, for up to 40 years, I think is the oldest camp. So understanding that it's very difficult to transition to a government-run camp or a government-run settlement, it's going to require that the permanent institutions in the country eventually take responsibility for management.
We are currently developing a project in urban sanitation issues in a slum area of Rio de Janeiro. Yeah, it was pretty interesting for me. We have also natural disaster in Rio, which are really good opportunities to implement those kind of solutions. We create a collaborative network with the government, with the private sector, companies, and in the engagement, the community, and all the stakeholders to improve the situation.
I do my thesis in sustainability assessment of productive sanitation in emergency settlement. My case study is Darfur in Sudan. My research is basically about how the people could produce a useful product out of waste and how they could benefit out of it instead of the waste create a problem to them in their daily life and create a health issue or groundwater contamination. So in a safe way to treat the waste and to create useful products such as biochar or fertilizer for growing agriculture and biogas for cooking. The emergency is quite complex because then you got within the same camp or within the same emergency, different emergency are in dual because there are war and there are people in the camps. And the more war it is, then the more people are coming back to the camp again. So you got two different people in the same camp, which will create emergency within an emergency.
I think this kind of event is really important for finding new solutions in emergency situations for water sanitation.
It's about getting the balance right. What we do see is, yes, water supply pretty much covered in terms of solutions, in terms of financing. But what I do see is that when it comes to sanitation, to hygiene, this is where we need to improve. And this will be my appeal to anyone, get that balance right.